Well, hello there. How are you doing today? Do you feel like doing a little bit of DIYing with me? Well, come on in. Let's get started. What do I have going on for you for today? Well, this is a DIY, a home renovation DIY that I did a couple of months ago. I want to say I did it at the beginning of spring, late winter, early spring, and it was tinting the windows to my house. I live in the high desert, and so the temperatures get up there. They get upwards of about 110 on a regular basis. And what prompted me to want to tint my windows was one, the heat, but two, I had replaced my blinds in my windows this year because they were 20 years old. And when I replaced them, I didn't replace them with wood blinds. I replaced them with a faux blind, which was plastic, I want to say. I didn't think that the heat and the temperatures from where I live was going to do what it did to my blinds, which was really disheartening. It really melted them, it misshaped them, it warped them, and it left me having to buy new blinds for about 4 of my windows, which was a bummer. But before I bought new ones and put them up, I wanted to try and solve the problem from that happening again, and so I decided I was going to tint my windows. I had an estimate done and was told it would be about $6,000 to do all of the windows in my house professionally done. Of course, when I heard that, I said absolutely not. I did a bit of research. After some research, I felt confident that this was a DIY I could take on myself. So I decided to go ahead and do it. I purchased myself some tint. I will leave that link in the description box below. I got it on Amazon. And I tinted the windows in my house. I'm gonna show you just how easily you can do it, and you're gonna be able to do this for just a couple of $100s versus a few thousand. So I'm gonna quit my gabbing. Let's jump into it and let me show you just how easily you can tint your windows and really just cut down on the heat, the cost of electricity, and yeah, this is one you're not gonna wanna miss. Let's get to it. Yeah, so this is bad, and that was only after a couple weeks of them being up, and I didn't go super cheap. I went like middle of the road, but I didn't use wood, and the ones I had up were wood before. And so yeah, live and learn. It is what it is. These were super damaged, but I mean, you can see here just how hot this window gets. This PVC has been in this window for a few years, and it's just burnt. No exaggeration, it gets hot. So I'm hoping that the tint will help. I'm gonna keep these up. I thought that for a second, if I just kind of pushed it back up, that maybe they would warp back or melt or get hot enough to straighten themselves out, but it was too late. The damage was done, so it is what it is. In my research, I saw that even the most professional window tinters use Johnson & Johnson's original baby shampoo because it's a mild shampoo, which helps prevent damage to the adhesive on the tint and the window surface itself, and it also acts as a lubricant. So I guess that's a win. You're gonna need the shampoo and you're gonna need a squirt bottle. You're gonna add just a couple tablespoons of the shampoo to the squirt bottle and water, and you're also gonna need a straight edge razor. We want to make sure our windows are good and clean, so using that Johnson & Johnson original baby shampoo and water concoction in our squirt bottle, I'm going to give my windows a good coating of that. Then using the straight edge razor, I'm going to go over the window, and this is really going to help scrape off any debris, any lint, any watermarks, anything that is going to show through the tint. Now, once you put that tint on, whatever is between the tint and the window is gonna stay there, and it is going to magnify and show even more so than it would on your window without the tint on it. So you really wanna make sure that your windows are good and clean and free of any debris or lint. You're gonna want a lint lint-free rag, and I found that the Swedish dishcloths, which are really just kind of a chamois, work the best. I get these at Costco. You can get them at Walmart. I like the ones at Costco the best. And so yeah, once I wet this down, it is going to be lint-free, and it's gonna work perfect for wiping down my window, getting all of that excess debris off that I just scraped off with the razor, and getting it good and prepped, ready to adhere the tint onto these windows. Measuring, well, it's a must. The tint I'm going with is this tint by Rock Rose. This is mainly used for residential tinting, but it can be used for automobile as well. I'm going with a 20% tint. There are different percentages that you can choose based on the amount of light that you want to allow to pass through the tint. I didn't want to go with something as low as 5, where only 5% of the light comes through. I figured 20% was a good safe amount. I'm going with the 20% and a 100-foot roll, which is going to cost me about $50. In total, I needed 2 of these rolls, 200 feet, to do my entire house, every window in the house. It came in a box on a roll, which made it really easy to work with. It didn't unravel. You're gonna need a dry erase marker. This is gonna be pretty helpful when measuring out and being able to make your marks on the tint for where you wanna cut. Your cuts don't have to be perfect. I'm really just trying to cut down on waste and get as much out of this tint as I can without making mistakes or cutting things too short. So I did measure, and I am using scissors to cut, because using a razor, sometimes it can snag or it can cause a rippling cut, and I kind of wanted to stay away from that. So I went the safe route of using scissors. Once I got my first piece cut for these windows here in my bathroom, I knew that I needed 5 pieces in total, so I just used the first piece as a template, and it just kind of helped move this project along here in the bathroom just a bit quicker. When getting ready to adhere your tint on your windows, you want to be very liberal with the amount of water / Johnson & Johnson's baby shampoo that you spray onto your window. Adding a piece of masking tape onto the side of your tint where you need to remove the film helps separate the film from the tint. You don't want to touch the sticky side of the tint, because it will leave finger marks, or fingerprints, I guess I should say. And so by wetting the sticky side of your tint with your soap mixture, it's gonna prevent that from happening. You're gonna wanna spray that soap mixture all over the adhesive side of your tint. This is also going to help with your tint not sticking if it touches, one end touches it. It kind of just makes it, I guess, a smoother transition or a smoother application onto your window. Once you've got your window good and sprayed liberally with the soap, your tint sprayed liberally with the soap, and your film is off, you are good to go ahead and place your tint adhesive side down onto your window. Because there is so much soap and water, it's gonna make it easy for you to, place the tint and move it around. Once you've got that first piece good and in place, you're good to go ahead and place your second piece. Now, I will tell you that when cutting your tint, you don't wanna cut it to the exact size of your window. You wanna cut approximately an inch in length on each side longer. So you're gonna go about 2 inches longer. And when you place it on the window, you are going to have tint that goes over your window, but that's okay. You want that to happen because this is really gonna cut down on any mistakes. It's gonna give you cleaner lines when you do cut that excess tint off. So go ahead and just, like I said, cut it a bit bigger, put it in place, and let that excess tint lay past the windows, if that makes any sense. And like I said, again, too, with spraying a liberal amount of the shampoo on, if you're doing it the way I'm doing it, where there is a seam in the middle, that seam is not going to show if you use the factory lines together when you place your tint. You are going to need some tools. This is a tool kit that I purchased off of Amazon. This felt scraper is a must when scraping past or away all of the soap under the tint because of the felt. You don't want to use anything that has a harsh plastic line because it will scratch your tint. So once you've got your tint in place, you will see that there is quite a bit of water and soap between the tint and your window, and that is okay. You want to let that stay for a bit. Then you're going to take this tool that has the felt on it and you're going to go over the tint on the outside of it, scraping and pushing that water out to each side. And you will see that you then have a perfect finish on your window. It really is easy. It seems like it would be intimidating, but it's not. But you can see that I'm just kind of working that water away to the sides of the tint, and it kind of just comes right out. And this is where the seam of your two tints meeting is going to disappear even more. Like I said, you want to use the factory edges together when you have seams because it makes it easier. There is a way to do a seam when you're not using those factory edges, which I learned later, but that would be, I guess, more advanced tinting. And so I want to just keep it pretty basic and pretty easy for you right now. Once you get all of that excess water scraped out using the felt scraper, I decided to use this tool here that had a nice straight line here, and I guess a utility knife maybe. And I'm gonna put that scraper right up against the edge of the window with my utility knife in between, and this is gonna allow me to get a perfect clean cut where I can then remove the excess tint film off and there are no mistakes. And doing this right along the bottom here, you can see just by running the utility knife right along that scraper, you're not gonna cut up any higher. You're gonna get just a perfect cut right along the edge. Then again, once you get all that excess tint cut off, you're gonna wanna go back through with your felt scraper and just really go along those edges to make sure that they are good and adhered onto the window. You can see the difference in the windows. One kind of has a grayish, purplish tint through the camera. It doesn't look like that in person. And the other side is clear. There is not a huge difference in looking through the glass from the inside out. But later on, I will show you what it looks like from the outside looking in. To me, it was just important that when looking out the windows, it didn't darken my view too much. I knew that there would be some of the UV rays gone, which was fine with me, but I didn't want it to look really dark that I couldn't see out my windows. And this 20% tint is perfect for that. And so again, before I put the last piece on, you can see there at the bottom the slight difference in tint versus the window. And this is looking through the window after the tint, and you can see my jasmine is still there before I did my salsa garden. I will tell you that there is a bit of a learning curve when tinting these windows. These are the biggest windows that I have in my house, in my front living room, and this always seems to be the hottest room in the house because these windows get direct sunlight all day long. And so the plantation shutters help a little bit, but this room just always feels like it's the hottest room. And so I definitely wanted to get these windows done, hoping to cut down on the energy and the heat. And I will tell you that it is July and this room is nowhere near as hot as it used to be since I have tinted these windows. I am so happy that I decided to do this and how it has really kept the house cooler throughout the day. I was a bit intimidated to do these bigger windows, but after I had done all the other windows, because I saved the best for last, I felt confident that I could do these. And when I say that there is a definite learning curve in doing this, I then soon learned that by spraying the window, then attaching the film to the window, then spraying the in the window and pulling the film off as it is attached to the window, that it really made adhering larger pieces of tint onto the window a lot easier. I kept asking myself, okay, how am I gonna do this big piece without the tint sticking together, without messing up the tint? Well, just by placing it on the window like this, spraying and pulling off the clear protective film as it stuck to the window was the way to go. That came with some research too, and just some helpful hints from other professional tinters. Now, I will tell you that for about a week or two, you may see some air bubbles, water bubbles in your tint, between the tint and the glass itself. Fear not, that actually dissipates and goes away. So when you're scraping that extra water out with your felt tool, working it from side to side, don't feel like you need to get all of it out. You want to get the majority of it out, and there will be, like I said, some air bubbles that appear, and that is okay. It will re-adhere onto the glass as the film and the adhesive part of the film start to dry and cure onto the window. And so this is what 20% looks like when it is completely done. You can see that the room is still fairly well lit. Let's go take a look outside. This is what it looked like before and after, the difference here, just from looking on the outside versus looking from the inside out. I couldn't be happier with the way this looks. I'm super happy with it, and I feel like it even adds to the aesthetic of the house. And for the seams, this is right after. You can barely see them, and trust me when I say that, look, from the outside, you can't see them at all several days later. So it is just about July. It is the end of June, and I want to tell you that it is heating up in the area in which I live in, and that tint has made a huge difference. Huge difference. I haven't changed out my blinds yet because I decided just to leave the damaged blinds up to see if they got more damaged or if the tint kind of stopped the damage where it was at. So I knew if it would be safe or not to put the new blinds up. I don't want to put them up and have them warp again. So I just figured, you know what, for now, I'm going to leave the damaged ones up and see if they get more damaged as time goes on, and they haven't. The tint has not only cut down on the temperature of the heat of the window when you touch it, but the heat that actually radiated off the window from the temperatures and the heat outside. I have always had to run my AC almost all day because it's so hot, but now that I have done all of the windows in my house, I'm finding that I don't even need to turn my AC on until about 4 o'clock in the afternoon. That is how cool it is keeping the inside of my house. It is staying at a steady 76 degrees, which is doable. It is bearable to me. And right about 4 or 5 o'clock, it starts to get up to about 80, and then that's when I'll hit up the AC and get it down to about 76. And I couldn't be happier with how the tint turned out. There was a definite learning curve to it, but I tell you, by the end, I was a pro at installing a window tint. And so someday when Kayla moves into Ray's house, we'll be able to do the same thing to that house. And it is really gonna cut down on the cost of energy and electricity and heat. And I couldn't be happier with the way it turned out. I like the aesthetic look that it has on the outside. And all in all, I'm just super glad that I did it. And it only cost me about $200 to do all of the windows in my house. So it was well worth the labor of love that I put into it. I hope you all enjoyed today's video and maybe it inspired you to step out of your comfort zone and maybe try and tint your windows to cut down on monthly cost and heat. If you're looking for more DIY inspiration, well, guess what? I've got you covered. You can click on the video right over here and it'll take you to some of my past favorites. Until next time, everybody, I hope you have a fantastic day. Stay happy, stay safe, stay healthy, but most of all, stay positive, please, because I'm sure trying. Bye for now, everybody.